like Sunday morning. Well, good Sunday morning, campers and bushcrafters. I hope you're having a great one. I'm Donnie Pavlini of Donnie Pavlini Outdoors, and hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. You know, we're not promised another one, so make hay while the sun shines. Last night, I went to Mobile, Alabama to the auto races at Mobile International Speedway. Had a great time. But coming out, when it was over, they had these steps that went down this way, race tracks are always banked up, so you got a high side, low side, Anyway, but coming down, I noticed these children. There was about 4 kids, ranging in ages from about 6 to 12 years old, I would guess. And these kids were having the time of their life getting up there on the side of these steps in the grassy area and just rolling. It was just awesome. It made me happy just seeing that. Just seeing them, hearing them laugh and everything else. No batteries involved of any kind. So I got to thinking about when I was a kid, and this little channel dealing with bushcrafting and things like that. My memory did me a solid and brought me back to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There was a kindly old gentleman over there by the name of Mr. Lee Ogle, who owned Ogle's Broom Shop. And friends of my father's took me over there. They had a business. It was Ethel and Max Fashion from Slidell. It was shortly after my father had passed, and they took me over there to kind of get my mind off of things. And they had a home and a little business that was located real close to Mr. Ogle's. But anyway, I think it's him. I can't say for sure, but it was another old gentleman. I get them confused because they remind me of each other. But he showed me a little craft, a little project to entertain myself, and I hope I can recreate it. And it's called the WooWoo Stick. So sit tight. This one's for the kids. Okay, to make our WooWoo Stick, I'm showing you the raw materials we're going to need. First thing we're going to need is right here is a little very dry piece of hardwood. In this case, it's oak. And then over here you have a little bit thicker piece of oak, very dry, and it's got to be hardwood. Over here we've got a little sliver of softwood, pine, and those are the materials we're going to use to get this thing going. Okay, step 1, making the WooWoo Stick, is processing these pieces down. Alright, and what we want to do is we want to remove all these little junky things off of here, these little limbs. This little piece of oak's got a ton of them on it. I'm going to try this condor bush lore, see what happens. I want to get all these things taken off of here, okay? Okay. That's the rough part of it. Here is my, man, just throw your knife down, idiot. Let's see. Here's this little saw, courtesy of Mr. Tom Chitwood and his giveaway. Little Fiskars saw. We have removed little limbs, and we've debarked it, both of these pieces. I want you to notice on both ends of this thing that I've rounded it. Keeping in mind that this is for children. I want them to run around out in the woods and stab yourself. I want you to notice on this large end here, let me get into camera range here. I've gone ahead and taken the point of my knife and made a divot, and then I put the knife blade straight down, braced it, and knocked it. Then move the blade slightly this way to make sort of a wedged opening right there. You can see right on the side here while I've done that. That's going to come into play later. Okay, we're going to be working on the larger portion of the WooWoo stick that I showed you with the hole in it. The opposite side that's rounded off this way is going to be the handle part of the WooWoo stick, okay? So what we want to do is we want to keep the handle comfortable and rounded, but the rest of it we want to remove some material. Now, and I'm going to do it just the hard way, and believe me, this little piece of oak is pretty daggum hard. Tough little piece of wood. But you want a hard wood. There's a reason why. It has to do with vibrations. So now we're going to work on this top ridge of the WooWoo stick. And what we want to do is we want to put a slight bevel on this edge. So we're going to take our knife and we're going to carefully, not in a hurry, take your time. Now, let's see what we got. See that little line? Notice the difference on this side. Okay. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a big series of stop cuts and push cuts. I'll show you this. There's all of my notches, my little stop cuts that I use the saw on there, and this is the first part of the back of this WooWoo stick. It's gonna make the magic happen. So to do that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna make very easy stop cuts going from the top down to the bottom. Okay, big series of those. And this is the way you're going to do it. You're going to make a bunch of push cuts. Let me make sure I said that correctly. Not a stop cut. You're going to make push cuts down to the base. I start about halfway, then push on down. These really need to be cleaned up a little bit. The WooWoo stick's good for daddies to do on camping trips and things like that. They're good for both boys and girls. They're not a gender specific type of tool. Toy. Alright, this part of the WooWoo stick is now completed. Okay, you bring it back here so you can see the whole thing. Looking at it from the side, this way we've got our ridge of little spines and saw teeth, so to speak. Got a nice comfortable handle. We've got this hole that's over here that I told you I was going to show you what that's for, and I still will. But right now, and here is the other part of the stick. The WooWoo stick is actually two sticks. Okay, they call it a WooWoo stick, but it's actually two. And it makes a good noise maker too. Now, we're going to begin making the magical part of the WooWoo stick, the featured attraction of it. Okay, so what I did was I got a piece of this is actually a little sliver of fat wood, but it's not real good fat wood. You know, it's still a little soft. So anyway, what you're going to do is you want to make a blade. Okay, you want it thin. Okay, and this stuff, I chose this because it really comes off nice and little layers. Okay. Yeah, a little bit more. Now at this point, I want to locate dead center of this, and I'm going to make a hole very carefully. Very carefully. I tell you, this Condor bush lorer knife is good for this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to attach the blade, and I made a little peg out of a piece of oak and pointed it. Okay, and I cut off the little knot that was right next to the little trunk of this thing, because it makes like a natural head on this thing. Now one thing I want to do, and it's important, is I've got to take this bark off. I'm going to use the back side of this knife, because we want to minimize friction when the toy is used. It's got to be slick. So take that little bark off. It would be better, I guess, if we had a little piece of sandpaper, but we don't. Okay, so now we're going to attach the blade to the stick. Say blade for a toy. Sounds pretty bad, don't it? But anyway, here we go. Hold this in between here. Brace up really good. Okay, use the back side of my knife. Sorry, Condor. Like I said, it's the moment of truth for the WooWoo Stick. Alright, now this is how it's done. You got this stick here, right here, and you got your WooWoo Stick. And what you're supposed to do is rub the stick along this way or this way, and hopefully the blades will spin, and that'll be kind of cool. Let's see. Let's give it a shot. Come on. Oh, I know what the problem is. I know what the problem is. You're supposed to say woo-woo, the magic words. Okay, let's give that a shot. Woo-woo, 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 woo-woo! Hell yeah, there we go. Entertain your kids. So, hats off to Mr. Lee Ogle from Ogle's Broom Shop. He's since passed, but you're not forgotten, Lee. Thank you so much, Grandpa. From Donnie Pavellini, Donnie Pavellini Outdoors, take your kids to the woods, and we'll see you next time.